Can you all hear me? Yep. Yes, very nice. All right, so we are just waiting on a few more people, but I think we will get started. The class is about 4 hours long, so I just want you to enjoy a bit of the causeway, you know. Now, and we'll try to squeeze that into an hour, so you can get on the causeway at 5:30. That's when the Food on One Classic event outside starts. So usually I start the class by introducing myself. So my name is Olivier Zambaux. I'm the director of banquets here. I've been here since June 2004, and I started as a server here in banquets. I worked about a year and a half as a server, then was promoted to a captain for about 6 months. And then, if some of you are familiar with the property, we have Il Molino New York Trattoria, the Italian restaurant on the Swan side. So I was part of the opening team. I worked there for 2 years. And I said, I'm a little tired of Italian food, so I transferred over to Shula's. I was the GM at Shula's, but I was missing the aspect of banquets. It's always changing. We come up with great events like the Food on One Classic tonight, so I transferred back to banquets, and I was the assistant, and I would say 6 months ago, I became the director. So welcome to the Swan Dolphin. Welcome to Base 2 Bottles. And you might ask me, why am I teaching Base 2 Bottles and not any other wines out there? So the reason is, 3 reasons. I'm sure you noticed a little accent there, right? Yeah, son. Where do you think that's from? France. Very nice. All right. So the first reason is I love any wines from France. But why champagne? Because in France we make all type of wine. The reason is because I come from a very small town in the Champagne region called Saint-Menehould. And it's really well known in France, is because it's the birthplace of Dom Pérignon. So I can say I was born in the town Dom Pérignon was born. So he was born 300 years before me, but I did some research and I found out he's my great-great-great-grandfather.
Wow.
So I wish. I would not be standing here if it was. So I said, bubbles, it's what I will be teaching. So, welcome to Base 2 Bottles, and we'll get started right here. So, sparkling wine producing countries of the world. Where do you think we make sparkling wine in the world? Everywhere, pretty much, right? You name a country, most likely they'll make sparkling wine. So, we can name a few countries out there.
France, of course.
Sorry?
The US.
The US. Okay. Argentina, Australia, Spain, New Zealand, okay? Italy, right now. So here I have a few here. France, United States, Spain, Italy, Germany, and South Africa. They also make sparkling wine in South Africa. So France, what do we call a sparkling wine from France? Champagne. Are all sparkling wine in France called champagne?
No.
Only the ones that do come from the Champagne region of France. If it's outside of Champagne, what do we call this? Cremant, I heard it there. Cremant. So if it comes from Burgundy, if it comes from the Loire Valley, Alsace, we call that Cremant de la Loire, Cremant de Bourgogne, or Cremant d'Alsace. So there we are, Champagne or Cremant. Here, at home, what do we call it?
Sparkling wine.
Sparkling wine. All right. How about Spain? Cava. Very nice. Italy? Prosecco. Anything else? Alright, Asti, Moscato d'Asti, Prosecco, all those things are coming from actually Italy. Germany? Pardon? Champagne? No. Do they actually make sparkling wine in Germany? Yes, they do. Huh? It's called Sek, S-E-K-T. Yeah. And then we have South Africa. That's a weird one there. The name of the southernmost tip of South Africa is called Cap, okay? And the name of the champagne is Cap Classic. So, but for the purpose of this class, we will go to France. So, how do you think champagne was created? By accident, right there. Yes, I heard it. You think Dom Pérignon invented the champagne? No, he didn't invent the champagne. He perfected it, but it was, created by accident. By who? Monks. Yeah. But English, you know, across the channel, they were actually making wine a long time, long before actually they were making champagne. And what was happening is like, they would harvest the grapes, press, make a wine, and put the wine in barrels. But in order for us to have a fermentation, meaning transferring all the sugar to alcohol, it's what everybody likes, right? Alcohol. We would actually have to have heat. But when they were barreling actually the wine, you know, in September, you know, around that time, in England it's really cold. So they would actually, the temperature would drop so low that the fermentation would stop. But when the temperatures would go back up in the spring, let's say March or April, the fermentation, the sugar that's still in there with the yeast, would kickstart a new fermentation and would create bubbles. So at first they were like, oh, my wine is turning bad, so they were pouring all that overboard. And one day someone decided to taste it, and he's like, man, that's not bad at all. So that's how champagne was created. But then Mr. Dom Perignon perfected the champagne. So, as I said earlier, he was born in a small town, a little hard to pronounce, right? Saint-Menehould. It's about 2 hours east of Paris. There's no vineyard at all whatsoever. The only thing they go there is potatoes and corn. So he was born in 1640, and when he was 28 years old, that's when he said, you know, my passion is wine, he loves alcohol, I'm going to pursue a career as a monk, and I'm going to make champagne. So he moved to a town called Abbaye of Ovidier, which is located very near Épernay. I don't know if some of you traveled to France before. Did you have the opportunity to go to Reims, Épernay? So that's where it is, and that's what it looks like. Took those pictures when I went there in July. I said, I have to take the pictures, put them on the slide, so I can show you there. So here is the view from his Abbaye. Some of the vineyards there, and you have Walt, you know, one of the most known champagne in the world. That's where they actually press the grapes to make their champagne. This little thing is actually Mercier. It's not exported, but it belongs to Walt. And those little cement thing right there, they're actually the limit between Mercier and somebody else out there. So one person might own a row of vine, and the next one might be owned by someone else. So that's how they keep track of it. So, Dom Perignon played a big part in the champagne making process. But these two ladies here, Madame Clicquot-Ponsardin, I don't know if you've ever heard. One, like Clicquot, yellow label, La Grande Dame, like we call it. She actually invented the riddling process. Riddling process is during the second fermentation to get rid of the dead yeast. So we'll go through that a little bit later. But she was a big lady there. And then we also have, I'm trying to find a bottle. I'll show you that one here upside down. We call it the blue label, Pommery. You might have actually had this champagne before. This will be the first champagne you will try. And she was a very savvy businesswoman who actually introduced the first brut, you know, in the history of champagne in 1874. So, first ever champagne brut ever made. She actually made it. Champagne region, located about an hour and a half drive from Paris, east, and you will have all the vineyards there. So, most of the champagne will come from three main regions within the Champagne region. So before I keep going with the slides, I would like to go over a little bit of what you have in front of you so you can start tasting and enjoying all that. So the cheese you have on your plate, it's actually a Brie de Meaux. That cheese comes from the region of Reims, which is actually 2 hours east of Paris. Then the second one, the one in the middle, is actually a Tome de Savoie. It comes from the Alps region of France, the mountain range. And then you have the Crottin de Chavignon, the last one. So it's a goat cheese, and it comes from the Loire Valley. The Loire Valley is west of Paris when you stare at the map. Alright? And then different styles of bread. You have a cheese bread and an olive bread over there too. And on the left side, who doesn't like a chocolate covered strawberry champagne, right? and then there's a little biscuit there. The little biscuit is actually when it was invented to make cakes, but mainly for champagne actually. It's meant to be dipped into the champagne. It's a very dry biscuit and it absorbs all the champagne. So when you eat it, it's like an explosion inside your mouth. So it's pretty cool. As a kid, growing up, you're not really allowed to drink champagne, you know, before you're 10 years old. After that, so before you turn 10, you go around when you have a family reunion, you grab your biscuit, and you go around, can I dip my biscuit in your champagne? So that you're allowed. So, I had a lot of biscuits when I was young. 3 grape varietals actually allowed to be used to make a champagne. 3, and that's it. The first one is a Pinot Noir, then we have a Pinot Meunier and a Chardonnay. So on the slide it goes Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay. For today's tasting, we'll go the other way around. We will actually taste the Chardonnay first, then we'll go to a Pinot Noir, and then to a Pinot Meunier. Because when you do, let's say, wine tasting, you always try to go with white wine first, then switch to red, and go from the lowest bodied type of wine to the highest body. Because if you go the other way around, a Cabernet will taste perfect when you drink it first. But if you try a Pinot Noir after that, most likely it will taste like cranberry juice. So I will actually have you grab the glass of Chardonnay. And this Chardonnay actually comes from the US. It's called Domaine Chandon Winery. And it's part of the Moët Chandon. It's their second winery, and it is located in Los Carneros. So this Chandon Chardonnay is 100% Chardonnay. So cheers to that. Yeah.
Cheers.
What do you think? Pretty nice, huh? A little bit of oak, but not too much, so it's nice and balanced. So, the Chardonnay grape, any tête de cuvées, I'm sure you've all heard about our Dom Pérignon, Cristal, any tête de cuvée from any winery, most likely will have a lot of Chardonnay, because it is known to age really well. Okay, Pinot Meunier, like the second wine you have on your placemat, will never be in a vintage champagne, because it's not known to age well at all. So they will never use it in the blend. And then the Pinot Noir can also be blended in there too. Any questions so far? No? Alright. So the noble variety imports like structure and power. So that's our Pinot Noir. Chardonnay is more like finesse. Anything that you have in your champagne when it comes like to finesse, floral characteristics, mineral aromas will come from the Chardonnay we just tasted. So then I will have you grab the second glass, and this one is our Pinot Meunier. Pinot Meunier, this one is 100% Pinot Meunier. There's only one winery out there that will actually make Pinot Meunier. Domaine Chandon is the one right here. So this wine, either you love it or you don't like it at all. So I will let you decide there. Who likes it? Who doesn't like it? It's half and half, 50-50 right there. So fruity, bouquet is very intense, but it doesn't have a lot of body there, you know. That's why it's not really used to make a vintage champagne meant to be aged for like 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So very different wine there. And if you want to go to our Pinot Noir, so you can see the difference between the two. A little bit more body. And this red grape varietal will give the structure to the champagne, the power. I don't know about you, but I hear those cork popping out there. Alright, so who likes our Pinot Meunier? And who likes our Pinot Noir better? Pinot Noir? Yeah, there's a lot more hands there. Very cool. Alright, so now that we have our 3 grape varietals, you know, we will is divided into 5 sub-regions. So we look at the whole Champagne region, and the first region is La Montagne de Reims. Reims being the capital. Most of the champagne that you will actually get from La Montagne de Reims will be our, let's say, Pommery. If it says Reims on the label, the primary grape varietal used in the blend will be Pinot Noir. Then they will use Pinot Meunier and Chardonnay in the blend to finish the blend. La Vallée de la Marne, the capital of the Vallée de la Marne is Épernay. So Moët Chandon or any other wine that will have an Épernay, address on the label will most likely come from Vallée de la Marne. Vallée de la Marne, the primary grape, the predominant grape is Chardonnay, because they have 70% of the vineyard planted with Chardonnay, 20% Pinot Noir, and not much Pinot Meunier there, only 10%. Then we have Côte des Blancs, 96% Chardonnay there, 3% Pinot Noir, and 1% Pinot Meunier. So I don't know if some of you are familiar with the labeling of those bottles of champagne. Have you ever heard of Blanc de Blanc? Blanc de Blanc. Most Blanc de Blanc from the Champagne region will come from the Côte des Blancs. It's a champagne made from 100% Chardonnay. And then you will have the Côte des Noirs. It's a champagne made from only red grape varietals. So that Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier you have, they will be blended together to make a Blanc de Noir. No Chardonnay in there at all. Okay? Côte de Sézanne, not as known as the 3 we just went over. 10% Chardonnay, 26% Pinot Noir, and 64% Pinot Meunier. So as I mentioned earlier, Pinot Meunier don't really used to make champagne meant to be aged. Someone received an email here. 64% Pinot Meunier. So you will not see a whole lot of champagne being exported from those regions. They will be sold, locally or within the country of France. And also the Vignoble de l'Eau, 7% Chardonnay, 85% Pinot Noir, and 8% Pinot Meunier. So looking at the champagne you will be actually served a little bit later, they will be coming from the Vallée de la Marne and La Montagne de Reims. Alright, so how is champagne made? What do we need before we can make a champagne? Grapes, and we need a wine, right? Before we can make a champagne, we need to make a wine. So, when do we harvest the grapes in champagne? In the fall, yeah. End of August, beginning of September. So right after the summer, the grapes got a lot of sun, a lot of sugar in the grapes. So they will decide either it will be end of August or beginning of September, depending on how much sugar they have at the time. So but during the harvest season, we have a lot of people from the southern hemisphere coming up to help us harvest those grapes. People from Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Chile. Why is that, do you think? Because they're off. The growing season is 6 months later over there. Instead of harvesting August, September, they will harvest end of March, beginning of April. So they're coming up to help me. So if you're looking for a hotel room end of August and beginning of September to go on vacation near Reims or Épernay, no luck. Good luck there. Yes, good luck. So all hotel rooms, caravans, beds and breakfast are all full. Pressing. So once we do actually harvest our grapes, we have to press them. And how much can we press at a time by law in France? Who is familiar with that at all? No? So they have a lot of strict rules. In the video you just watched, it comes from the CIVC. So it's a really long word to say Comité International des Vins de Champagne. They're actually following every single champagne house and making sure they follow the rules. So when they harvest the grapes, where you see here, AOC laws, those are the laws of the region. AOC means Appellation d'Origine, origin being champagne, controlled. So it's controlled by the Champagne Committee. So specify that 8,800 pounds of grapes here can be put in a press at once. No more than that, not 8,801. They keep track of this, they are pretty strict on that. and this quantity is known as the mar. It must be put in the press and only that. So only the first 2,550 liters of that press, or if we talk in gallons, 674 gallons of the juice extracted, can be used for champagne. That's it. But if I'm a champagne maker, am I going to stop there? I want to make more champagne, right? I will not be allowed to sell it though. But what can I do with it? My personal consumption.
Drink it.
I'm going to drink it, right? I have a friend in France. His mother used to work for Walt Chandon. And every Christmas, every single employee from Walt Chandon will get 50 bottles as a Christmas gift.
Wow.
That will come from the wine that's pressed, but not being sold. So they cannot be sold, but they can be given as a gift. So get some good perks over there. So 2,550 liters, 674 gallons. The first 543 gallons will be used to make most of the best champagne. After that, the last 500 liters will be used to make the lesser quality champagne. So the next 500 liters are called première taille. The best will be called vin de cuvée. Okay, and a barrel like this, the one they use over there is a little bigger than this, but it's 205 liters. So when the inspectors are coming into the winery, they need to count the barrels. They count 10, they know it's done properly. 10 times 205, 2,050 liters, and that's it. And they keep going down the cellars. So I want my staff actually start pouring the champagne. And we'll start with our brut from Pommery rings. So the primary fermentation here is we pressed our grapes, we have our grape juice, we need to make a wine. Okay? So it will either be aged in wooden barrels, so any champagne that will come from, let's say, Bollinger, will actually be made using that, aged in wooden barrels. If it's a crisp champagne like Pommery, the first one you are actually getting, most of their fermentation, will be done in a stainless steel tank. Okay, they want to keep that crispiness into it. Okay. So the barrels you see right here, it's the barrel that sits at the entrance of the Pommery champagne house. Okay, and that's the champagne we're pouring here. This barrel is called a foudre. The foudre right here, translation of foudre is lightning. During the thunder or storm, the lightning, that's the foudre, and it's the equivalent to 100,000 bottles of champagne. Huge. You can walk in this thing. Humongous. It was actually built to commemorate the commercial relationship with the US and the Champagne region of France. The image on the front illustrates two women, one of which represents France, and who is offering the other who represents the US champagne flute. So let me go back. You can see the picture. Sorry, it's getting busy here. So you can see on the picture right here. The French woman standing at the bottom and offering a glass of champagne up there. But most of the champagne houses will have the same type of barrel in front of their entrance. Mercier has the same thing. 100,000 bottles of wine can fit in a barrel like that. So here we are, blending. So before we can make any champagne, we have to blend. And why do we blend wine together to make a champagne? Who can guess why?
More complex flavors?
Complex flavors. It has to do with flavors. But we need to go a step further. If you're a consumer, let's say you go to an ABC or Total Wine & More, like a lot of people I'm sure do, and you find a bottle of wine. You say, oh, yellow label. I got my bottle of wine. I will celebrate a birthday or anniversary. I will pour that champagne. And I'm like, oh, I enjoy this champagne. It's beautiful. So next time I go to Total Wine & More, I will grab the same bottle of champagne, and I'm hoping that it tastes the same, right? So the reason why they blend the wine, it's in order for the champagne to always taste the same. That's why there's no vintage on a bottle of champagne. Because they are allowed as a chef de cave, and he has a tough job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. He The only thing it does is taste wine, champagne. So he has to actually, he's allowed to blend up to 50 different types of wine and go as far back as 10 different vintages. So they have cellars, they have rooms underground where they keep all those bottles of wine. It's not even a champagne yet, it's a wine. And they can blend all that together to always come up with the same flavor profile as far as the champagne. So non-vintage blend, of course, contains between 10 to 15% blend of reserve. But if, let's say, you have our Dom Pérignon right here, it's a vintage 2005. So the vin de cave, the chef de cave will not be able to blend anything. He will only be allowed to make his champagne using the wine from the 2005 harvest. And also any prestige wine like this will come from different single vineyards. They don't use grapes from any type of vineyards. They will have specific vineyards with the best terroirs, the best vines, in order to make their best cuvée. Alright? So, before we get this party started right here, just want to pour myself a little. Alright. So, a person named Napoleon Bonaparte, you know, after winning the war, decided to open a bottle of champagne like this to celebrate. He said one thing, he said, if you win a war, you deserve some champagne. If you lose it, you need it. Right? So, and he's the first person who actually decided to do this. Okay? Ready? Ready to party? So I can pass this bottle around just so you can see, but it's safe to drink it, but I would not, you know, let you drink it. We never know if I have some glass in there, so. Just the way we savor a bottle of champagne here. Alright? And the cork should be around here. Oh! I will let you pass this cork. I will hold it by the cork, not the glass piece. Okay. You know, make sure you don't cut yourself. So this champagne, like I mentioned earlier, it's a champagne from the Palmery Vineyard. It's our blue label, right here. Cheers to that. It should be very crisp, aged in stainless steel tank. Who likes this little champagne? Yes, sir. Oh no, they didn't stop making those, sir. You just can't get them. Right here, sir. You like one? No, they didn't stop making that. I don't know why you actually. Really? No, they didn't stop. No. It's something you see a lot in South Beach. They walk around the pool decks with a straw in it. And. Alright, so who enjoys this type of champagne? That's a good one right there, right? Very nice. Which I know, right? Oh yeah. I'm sure the most expensive one, right? Strong aroma as well, yes, very good. So just a little note aside right here. This champagne Palmery, when I was in college, sitting down and listening to my history teacher, and he was boring me so much. Sorry. I would look out the window and I would see the Palmery Vineyard out there. So it's actually a beautiful region. There's a beautiful restaurant if you have the opportunity to go to Reims on Palmery property. It's called Les Crayères. They have a great menu, great food, and champagne and wine pairing. It's beautiful. So blending, we just discussed it. We can blend up to 50 wines and go back 10 different vintages. So once they're done with this, then we can start our champagne making process. Because as of now, we only have the wine. Now we need to make a champagne. So the way we make a champagne, the wine is actually aged, or actually is fermented in barrels or stainless steel tank. When it comes to a second fermentation, and champagne, and let's say California or any other regions in the world, if you see a label where it says méthode traditionnelle or méthode champenoise, it means that the champagne or the sparkling wine or the cava or whatever they decide to do, to make, was made the same way the champagne is made. And it means that the second fermentation took place either in a regular bottle of champagne or, let me try to find wine here, that is not in water, or a magnum like this. That's it. Those are the only two sizes bottle. They will actually have the second fermentation take place. So after the blends are assembled, a measured dose of sugar, roughly 24 grams per liter, will be added to the wine in a bottle in addition to yeast. The yeast will kickstart a second fermentation that will actually roughly last 4 to 8 weeks, and after that we will end up with a champagne or bubbly wine, like we will call it. Okay? So the pressure within the bottle will raise to 5 to 6 atmospheric pressure. That's why sometimes when you remove the cage and you don't pay attention, that cork goes flying, right? 5 to 6 atmospheric pressure. There's a lot of pressure in a bottle of champagne. So after 4 to 6 weeks, we end up with a sparkling wine or a champagne. But what do we have in the bottle left that we need to get rid of before we sell it? Yeast, the dead yeast. I don't know about you, but if I grab a bottle of yellow label from the store, and if I shake it a little bit, and my bottle is all cloudy, I don't want it, You want something nice and crisp, right? So we have to get rid of that. The dead yeast, they're also called the lees. The lees is the word right there, L-E-E-S. It's settling at the bottom of the bottle here. That's what you see there. So as a house, wine house, you don't want to have to sell a bottle like that. So this is what we do after we let it age. Let's go back. Oh. How long do you think a regular bottle of champagne, and there is no vintage on it, before we can actually sell it? How long does it have to stay like this for? Almost a little bit more than a year. 15 months. So before we can enjoy a bottle of Perrier Jouet Grand Brut, it has to sit on the lees, so it means on the dead yeast, for 15 months. Yes.
Do they ever have a vat that doesn't ferment correctly?
They do, yeah. So it's part of like,
If they get rid of it?
yeah, they don't even use it. Yes. So it sits 15 months. It used to be 18, but they said, you know what, let's drop it to 15. So this is it, 15 months. If I'm talking about our Dom Perignon, how long does it have to sit like this on the lees before I can?
2 years?
A little more than that, 36 months. I have to let it sit like this for 36 months, 3 years. And then we have champagne that we call late disgorge champagne. They will spend 5 to 10 years on the lees.
Wow.
And what they will have as far as characteristics, they will be very yeasty. So if you're not someone who enjoys a yeasty champagne, don't buy any of that. If you say late disgorge on it, it will taste really yeasty. Who enjoys Bollinger?
No.
Bollinger is yeasty compared to what you're drinking now. Pommery is like more on the crisp side of flavor. Bollinger is yeasty. Alright? So all these bottles will spend 15 months if they are non-vintage, 36 months if they are actually vintage champagne laying down like this, in cellars, miles and miles of cellars. Who can guess how many miles of caves, tunnels they have under the city of Aberdeen?
100?
180 miles of cellars down there. Can get lost. So I had the chance of working for 2 months for Walt just putting those bottles laying down on their side like this. And guess what they have for breakfast every day? They bring their baguette, they bring the cheese, they go down the cellars, they work a little bit, couple hours, you know, and then they go around the corner where all those bottles don't have any labels, like those ones right here, and they pop a bottle of Dom Perignon every single morning for breakfast. So, it was good. It was a good 2 months of my life. So then, remuage. So that's how we will get rid of the yeast, the dead yeast, all that stuff. Okay, so this little guy, these two gentlemen right here are called riddlers or remueurs. You know, and what they do all day, every day, for 8 hours a day, is riddle bottles.
Wow.
They will go down the cellars and they will riddle for 6 to 8 weeks non-stop, every day the same thing. They will grab a bottle of champagne, and like I mentioned, it's aging on the side like this. So they will take it from here, and they will have one on the other side too, and they will turn it a quarter of a turn and tilt it up a little bit for 8 weeks non-stop. And they will riddle 30,000 bottles a day. And every day, they will riddle the same 30,000 bottles for 8 weeks. In order for us to go from the horizontal position to a vertical position with the dead yeast in the neck of the bottle. So once the bottle is like this, we'll go to the next step. But what they invented, it's something called gyro pallets. Gyro pallets are those big, let me see if I can zoom in right there. We actually hold 501 bottles of champagne, and it's all computerized. There's no, nobody turning those bottles. So every, let's say, it's a lot faster. Instead of taking 8 weeks, it will take 4 weeks, because it will be rotated, more on a consistent basis. And they will actually riddle 500 bottles at a time. So once we have our bottle upside down, as you can see over there, what will happen is that they will freeze the neck of the bottle. The liquid that's in the neck of the bottle with the lees will become a big block of ice. They will flip the bottle around and pop the cork. So here you can see it all, done by a machine, but they used to have people disgorging a bottle at a time. So with the pressure inside the bottle, the block of ice, they would pop the cork, put their thumb on it, and let it settle a little bit, and they will lose just a little bit of wine. So that's how they will remove, actually, the dead yeast from the bottle. So our second champagne today. I don't know if some of you saw the label when they were pouring the champagne. What do we have here? Veuve Clicquot, yellow label. Actually, it's not really yellow, but it's more like pink. Right? So a yellow-pink label. So it's the rosé made by Yellow Label or La Grande Dame, Veuve Clicquot pour Sardin. Okay, so cheers. Pretty nice. Very food forward. A lot of fruitiness into it, right? So, since we're drinking a rosé champagne, how do we make a rosé champagne? Skin? I hear skin and blending. Yes. So they can do both. And Champagne is one of the only regions in the world where you can do both. Either you will leave your skin macerating in the wine to get that redness into it, or you will make a red wine and a white wine, and you will blend those two together. In other countries, blending red and white is not allowed. In Champagne it is. So, depending on how the chef de cave wants to make his champagne, they can do either or. So, who enjoys the champagne? Nice. Very nice. So now that we disgorged, or we remove the leaves, we have the bottle. Of course, there's no more cork on it, no more caps. We need to actually finalize the bottle of champagne because we cannot really sell it like this. It's missing a good chunk of wine or champagne, I would say. So what the chef de cave has to do is decide what type of champagne he wants to make. Okay? So this is the mixture of wine and sugar. So we call it liqueur d'expédition. Liqueur d'expédition or dosage is the name of the liquid that we'll be adding back into the bottle. So if we want to make an extra brut, it means like either we don't add any sugar to it or less than 6 grams per liter. This is the mixture we'll add to this wine. So it's the same wine from the same blend. We'll add sugar to it and add it back to the bottle. So the one you're actually drinking, the Pommery, the first one, is a brut. So the chef de cave decided to add up to 15 grams per liter of sugar, and then they retopped the bottle. Then you have extra dry, 12 to 20 grams per liter, a sec, which is 17 to 35, demi-sec, 35 to 50, and then we have a doux. It's greater than, so it's like a misprint over there, 50 grams per liter. Okay? So if you actually grab the last glass of champagne you have on your mat, number 6, and you take a little taste. This champagne should be, if my staff pour the right champagne in the right glass, should be a sweeter champagne, right? Yes, huh? So you're actually trying a Moët de Chandon Nectar Imperial, which is a demi-sec, 35 to 50 grams per liter. It's almost dessert on its own, right?
Yes.
I don't mind. Very sweet. Very sweet. So who enjoys brut champagne more than demi-sec? Brut or sweet? Dry or sweet?
Dry. Sweet.
Sweet? Oh, it's still 50-50 here. Pardon me? Oh, depends on the mood, right? Yeah, absolutely. Styles of champagne. So as we mentioned earlier, we have our non-vintage. They will actually be made from a blend of 50 different wines, 10 different vintages, and it's actually aged for a minimum of 15 months right there. Then we have our vintage champagne. Anything that has a, usually the prestige cuvée will be a vintage champagne. Don't Perignon 05, that will be the example here. 36 months on the lease before it is sold, and then we have the late disgorged. Prestige Cuvée, this is the finest champagne of the house. Moët de Chandon Dom Perignon. You have Louis Roeder, Cristal, Krug, Grande Cuvée. You also have Yellow Label, Veuve Clicquot Pour Sardin, La Grande Dame. So all those names are the Prestige Cuvée. Not to be confused with a Cuvée Prestige. Okay? If you go to a store and you see those two words, depending on which one goes first, a Prestige Cuvée or a Cuvée Prestige. Prestige Cuvée, one of those. I mean, you'll see the price tag on it. $200 a bottle, that's a Prestige Cuvée. A Cuvée Prestige, Taittinger, for example, makes a Cuvée Prestige. It will be sold for $25 a bottle, roughly. So they're playing with words to try to sell you some champagne right there. Rosé champagne, we mentioned it. It's up to them to either blend red and white wine or macerate the skins. Blanc de Blanc. What's a Blanc de Blanc? Let's see if you paid attention in the class. Only white grape varietals, Chardonnay, 100% Chardonnay. Blanc Noir, only reds, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. And our single vineyards are usually our Prestige Cuvée right there. They come from single vineyard villages. So then we have Crémant. So what is a Crémant? Not from Champagne. Any sparkling wine that will come from a French region which is outside of Champagne. Pétillant, it's a lesser quality sparkling wine, I would say. So as you can see, the atmospheric pressure in the bottle is lesser, so you have less bubbles in the champagne. And a Coteau Champenois. Who's ever had a Coteau Champenois? Oh. Coteau Champenois is actually 100% of the grape varietal, so let's say a Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, but it's a still wine, no bubbles, coming from Champagne. That's the name of it. Alright, qualities we look for in the champagne. What do we look for in champagne? Bubbles. The bubbles should be small and should appear clear as fine, steady stream, and be long-lasting. If you pour your champagne and 10 seconds later it's down and it's flat, most likely it's not a good quality champagne. What will happen also is that if you pour champagne in a dirty glass, the bottles will keep on going. So it means that it's a good champagne, right? That's why we don't wash our glasses here. Just kidding. We wash, we sanitize, Second, the nose should have somewhat of a fruity character, but should also show some of the yeastiness, toastiness.
Sorry guys for me yelling, I apologize.
Oh my gosh. Chef Robert.
I just feel bad.
I would like to introduce Chef Robert. He's our executive chef at the resort, so all the food you see on the causeway come from this gentleman here. So any complaints to him. Yes, ma'am.
So why did these go out of favor? What is the benefit? Because I know some of the season last year was good for champagne as well.
Well, this actually, the coupe you have in your hand was in the old days. Now the flute is a newer type of glasses compared to the coupe glass. In the flute, the bubbles have more room to expand and get bigger as they go up the glasses. So I would recommend a champagne glass, like a flute, rather than a coupe.
Use my great grandmother's of these for sure cocktails.
That's it, absolutely, yes, yes.
My favorite glass, I have some vintage glasses with a hollow stem.
Oh yes, those are nice,
Oh,
beautiful.
yummy.
And lastly, the palate experience should be dramatic. The once fine lazy stream, of the bottle should explode in your mouth. So I don't know if you tried that biscuit that I gave you. If you dip it in there, when you eat it, it's pretty good, So top champagne producers, the light body champagne, you have Laurent Perrier. It's like a wine. You have the low body champagne, medium body champagne, heavy body champagne. So depending on what you like as far as wine, most likely it will be the same thing for champagne. So Laurent Perrier, Perrier Jouet, Tanger will be light body champagne. The one we had today right here, the Pommery, is more like a medium type champagne. So
Was that the first one?
the first one, yes, the blue label.
Last one.
The last one is actually a Moët de Chandon, so same type of champagne, Moët de Chandon right here. Nectar Imperial, which I have here. Right here, the black label. This is the last one you try. So Charles Heidsieck, Joseph Perrier, Moët de Chandon, Monk, Philippona, Piper Heidsieck, Paul Roger, Pommery, and then full body champagne. Bollinger, right here will be more of a full body type champagne. De la Motte, Gosset, I have a Gosset here somewhere, right here. Gosset is a beautiful champagne, and it is the oldest champagne house in France, right here.
What's it called?
Gosset, Gosset. Gosset, maybe. Sorry, the French accent, I'm sorry? The Pommery will sell for $30 a bottle at the store, roughly. What store, right? I have connections. Right here. So here, we have actually our different size bottle right here. So, if you are walking down South Beach and you have a straw and you decide to drink a little bit of something, that's what you will carry with you. We call it a split or a quarter bottle right here. Then we have our half bottle. Taillinger right here. It's our Taillinger Brut La Française. So it's not the lowest quality, it's like more like medium size. So this is roughly 2 glasses. A nice little dinner, candlelight, 2 glasses. Standard bottle, we have our Veuve Clicquot Ponsardin, yellow label. And then we have Géraud Bohème, our 3-liter bottles. Piper Heidsieck, right here, 3 liters. Alright. Then we have Methuselah. Methuselah is a 6-liter bottle. I'm hiding it because I want to pop it tonight. 6 liters. Alright? Right here. This one here. Then we have Salmanazar. Salmanazar 9 liters. Now we're talking. It's not a party, right? 9 sort of really full bottle, yeah. Yes, sir.
Where do you actually find these larger bottles?
We source them from different, regions and things like that. But those, I think, we got them directly from France because anything over 3 liters, it's not really legal here in Florida, so you cannot get any of that. Sorry. Then we have Balthazar, 12 liters. We have Nebuchadnezzar, 15 liters. Melchior, or it's also called the Solomon, 18 liters. I'm sure you've noticed that it's named after,
The gifts.
the kings, yeah. Sovereign, 25 liters. Primat, 27 liters. Melchizedek, 30 liters. And it's, I don't know, Murgatroyd is known to be a 50-liter type of bottle. For the Murgatroyd, you will see them usually at the entrance of a winery or champagne house, and it's as tall as a person. It's a pretty big bottle, yes. But I would say anything from Nebuchadnezzar and under, you can order it from the winery, special, for a wedding or anything like that, and they will actually make it. But as I mentioned earlier, they will actually have the second fermentation take place either in a regular bottle and a magnum, and then transfer it over to a larger size bottle in order for them to keep the quality of the champagne. Because if they are to have the second fermentation in a larger bottle, they discover that the quality of the champagne is lesser. Yes, ma'am?
So if you keep it in one of the larger bottles, for whatever reason, does it affect the flavor of the champagne?
It will, no, that's what I mentioned just now. They will ferment it in smaller bottles, so then they will blend it. Yes, blend it and will transfer it to a larger size bottle. Yes. All right. So here's a different type of, scale. Same thing we just discussed.